All right, welcome everyone. So we have Joseph Jutan here from Career and Talent Development. He's a career advisor, and he's going to be giving us today some tips on how to navigate through LinkedIn, especially now that everything is virtual. So without further ado, Joseph, I pass the baton to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Alejandro. So I also have my colleague here with me, Lauren Kavicki. She's going to be helping me with the chat if anyone has any questions. I'll still take questions during the workshop. I do have another workshop at 2 p.m., so I probably won't have much time to go past it 2. But in case I disconnect, which probably will not happen, Lauren is here to help me with to take over the presentation. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is it's not really enough content for a full 1-hour workshop. So I have a couple different things in here, such as networking. And I'm going to give you guys a hands-on demonstration of LinkedIn as well. So, just to kind of get you guys in the feel for it, I'm pretty sure most of you have used LinkedIn in some way. Some of you may not, but we'll give you some tips on how to navigate that platform. Okay. So some learning objectives for today. We're going to be talking about self-branding. Why is LinkedIn essential? And creating a meaningful profile using SMART goals. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, realistic is for R, T for timely. Lauren, do you remember what the A was for? SMART, measurable. That's cool. It's gonna come back to me. But SMART, measurable.
I believe it's action.
If what? Action, okay.
I believe it's action, yes.
Okay.
Or attainable. I'm sorry, attainable.
Attainable, yes. There we go. Thank you so much. I just have so much on my mind. Okay, so to jump into our presentation, we have this figure here, 20.2 million students, as you can see from all these different schools. And you have 1.9 million who are about to graduate this December. So just like this question here, what do you think that those 1.9 million recent graduates are currently competing for? What are they in competition for?
For a position, for a job?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, Claudia. Jobs for the most part. So when it comes to the job search, internship search, or your resume, LinkedIn, branding, specifically LinkedIn for this workshop, you really want to be following some certain industry standard practices just so that your profile stands out. We'll kind of get more in depth with this. But just because when it comes to competition, usually the people who do attain the opportunities are the ones at the top, the ones who are doing everything they need to do to secure those opportunities. For those of you who, I'm going to start every workshop that I do, I always talk about NACE career readiness competencies. Those of you who were in the workshop that we did, I think it was last week, I did talk about, I think it was interviewing skills. We did talk about NACE career readiness competencies. But just again, for those of you who may have forgotten, or if you're new to this workshop today, NACE stands for National Association of Colleges and Employers. And it's basically an organization that was formed in partnership with higher ed to identify the top soft or transferable skills that employers look for entry-level jobs and also for internships. When it comes to entry-level jobs, the keyword is entry, not jobs that require 5-6 years of experience. When it comes to internships, hopefully most of you know that the whole point of an internship is to gain experience. So these are the types of skills that they would be looking for and what you would be learning in an internship. So the main takeaway from this are these competencies are what you call soft or transferable, meaning you could take them anywhere. If you worked in retail, for example, and you are now an engineering student and you are applying for your first entry-level job or you're applying for an internship, and you demonstrated these competencies in your retail experience and you have it well written out on your resume, and you also demonstrate this effectively on your LinkedIn and also in your interview, the employer is going to be confident that you're going to bring that same skill into an engineering type of role or position. So as you can see, they're pretty much straightforward. But what do you think the number one skill they look for is from this list?
Last time we agreed that it was problem solving.
Yeah, you're right. There we go. Problem solving is the number one skill that they look for. As you know, if you are going into industry, if you're going to the private sector, at the end of it, it all kind of boils down to dollars and cents, outcomes, shareholders. So when you position yourself as someone who is a critical thinker and someone who's going to, solve problems and make the business run more efficiently and eventually, resulting in increased profits, that's always going to be a huge advantage that you have over other candidates. Number 2 was professionalism, work ethic. Number 3, teamwork. And then we kind of just go through all these. So let me see if I have it in the next slide. No, I don't. So I will actually kind of go through briefly what these are. So problem solving, we kind of talked about that. Oral written communication skills, specifically for this workshop LinkedIn, this is going to be written communication skills, just like how it is for the resume workshop. Teamwork, collaboration, being able to work well with teams, work with others, projects, internships. The way you have that demonstrated or displayed on your LinkedIn profile is going to make a difference. Information tech, directly related to LinkedIn. Well, information tech usually kind of refers more so to the types of software that your industry might require. So I know if it's like AutoCAD, MathCAD, Microsoft Word, Excel, all those different softwares, but then also being able to effectively use LinkedIn to demonstrate or represent yourself professionally online. Leadership, being able to not only be a follower but a leader when you need to, and also being able to have that displayed on your LinkedIn. Professionalism, work ethic, whatever you consider to be professionalism and good work ethic, and whatever that employer establishes as good work ethic or professionalism. Because I'm pretty sure most of you would not want to work for an employer whose work ethic goes against your principles or what you value, even if they are paying really well. Career management, so that's being able to effectively articulate your skills, experiences, projects, etc., to an employer to let them know you have the skills and experiences that they are looking for. And when it comes to career management for the LinkedIn, it's almost similar to the resume, where based on what you've done and just having that very effectively articulated in written form on your profile is going to make the difference. And then, of course, global intercultural fluency, which is the newest one. So just being able to work with others from different backgrounds, nationalities, ethnicities, sexual orientations, genders, the whole spectrum. So we are going to talk a little bit about branding. So what's going to set you apart? What is your brand? And essentially, usually, students who meet with me, I usually like to talk about branding a bit, because it really is just another avenue for you to, stand out from the crowd. That's really what branding is. Who you are, how you are great, and why you should be sought out. So as you know, recruiters look at resumes, LinkedIn profiles, handshake profiles. They interview a ton of different students. So after a while, candidates just become numbers, and they all start to blend into one another, right? So if you are, hopefully, fingers crossed, a top candidate for any given position or opportunity, there's chances that you're not going to be the only top person for the position. So you really have to dig deep and think about what makes me different from people who are in the same, who are competing with me in the same category. So if it is something kind of referring back to the NACE career readiness competencies, if based on your projects, past internships, work experiences, involvements with student orgs, volunteer experience, whatever you've done, even personal things in your personal life, if you are known, or you consider yourself to be a problem solver, a team player, a go-getter, someone who gets things done, someone who has excellent time management, the way you word that, let's say on your LinkedIn profile, or you word that on your resume, is really going to make the difference, because the employer is going to have something tangible to help put you aside from other people in your same category. So they'll, you're going to be memorable, and you're probably hopefully going to get the position, or close to it. So reputation, building a name for yourself, showcasing what sets you apart. The added value is really the important factor there. And then, of course, a promise of quality. Right. So some examples here that you could kind of think of to start brainstorming what helps you stand out from the crowd. It could be your employment opportunities. What types of skills and experiences did you hear from your supervisors or your colleagues or people you've worked with? Because sometimes we have a skill or an attribute that we aren't consciously aware of, but the other people around us are. So if you always demonstrate exceptional teamwork, and you really get along with people from different teams or backgrounds, even if you don't know it, kind of pulling from those colleagues, or just talking to people or your network, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I really stood out, or I was a team player for this project or this experience. Other types of experiences, volunteer work, involvements, research, internships, projects. That's super huge for engineering students. You all have your senior design projects, competitions, certifications. And I just have a couple brands here that you guys could see. Dunkin' versus Starbucks. Not that one is better than the other, but they each have their own specific brand associated with each. So you can kind of think of it from that perspective. Same thing with Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. They both have their own, I won't tell, I don't want to give you my opinion of what their their brand is or which one is better or which one is not, because it might be different for someone else. But just kind of some ideas to kind of get you thinking, especially also with Nike and Adidas. Right. So now we are going to jump straight into what is LinkedIn. So as you can see, business-oriented social networking website. It's the largest professional networking site that we currently know of. I'm pretty sure you guys know the Handshake profile. There was another one that was closely affiliated or in competition with LinkedIn. I think it was called Portfolium. I'm not sure if many of you guys have heard that before.
It's Portfolium.
Portfolium, yeah. I really haven't heard much about Portfolium recently. It's always just been LinkedIn just because they're such a behemoth. LinkedIn is owned by Facebook. Every day, LinkedIn looks just more and more like Facebook. It's kind of crazy how similar both look. But it's just a professional way to brand yourself, just like how Facebook is a way to brand yourself personally. I'll kind of get a bit more in depth with that in a minute. So your LinkedIn is your resume that never sleeps. If a recruiter decides, and recruiters 100% are looking at LinkedIn profiles much more now than they were before, just because of the pandemic. All right, because they can't really go to as many in-person events. I'm sure you guys know about like HENAC, Great Minds in STEM, SWE, SHEP, NSBE, Bayard, like the list goes on. Before the pandemic, a lot of employers will pull their talent from those conferences. Also, FIU's career fair. If you applied for positions on their websites or on Handshake, it was just a lot of various platforms that employers could use to pull talent. But just because the in-person situation is limited right now, just because of safety reasons, LinkedIn is really what they're going to. Not sure how many of you guys have gotten DMs from recruiters on LinkedIn. They have been doing it much more now. Just like with Facebook, LinkedIn, you could set the privacy settings to kind of show, let your profile be public, who could message you, all that stuff. So I kind of jump into this in a bit, but just again, to give you guys a tip, make sure your profiles are fully filled out and there is no lock or limit to who can see your profile. You want to reduce as many barriers as you can for an employer to view your profile. And I'm pretty sure if you went on someone's profile and you just saw that gray silhouette of the face, not even the picture, you're not going to be interested. Humans are social beings, and connecting experience with a face, especially on the LinkedIn profile, is going to be better in the long run. So you're just a brand to the world, who you are to employers, graduate schools, colleagues, potential employers online. So this one's super important because when you think of LinkedIn, you just think of it as, of course, a professional platform to obtain either a full-time job or an internship. But you could also employ graduate schools also look at profiles to recruit people for, master's programs. So if you finish up your undergrad and you're working, let's say you get your dream job at, a company, Medtronic, Lockheed, whoever, and then a grad school goes on your profile, they'll see you're currently working at ABC company. They saw you got your bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering from FIU. They see you've been working with this company for 2 years. They look at everything you've done. That would be a good chance for them to recruit and reach out to see, hey, did you know that NYU has an amazing biomedical master's program? Just to kind of give you guys a idea of what that would look like. And then, of course, that's usually the first thing listed when someone Googles you, your LinkedIn profile. Sometimes your social media platforms, but if it's a recruiter, it's usually they're looking for the professional LinkedIn profile. I have this link here. I'll also share this with you guys. Hold on, let me open it. Let me share my screen again. Hold on. Yeah, so I'll share this with you. It's just a quick article about tips for students and new grads. It has a couple of things here about the picture, what not to do, how to do the headline, the skills, everything. Obviously, I'm not going to read through this whole thing because I think it'll be efficient use of time. But I'm going to send everyone the PowerPoints. You'll have this to look at when you are making edits to your profile or actually creating your profile for the first time. Okay, so back to the PowerPoints. And then I had this meme here. Recruiter added me on LinkedIn, so I guess things are getting pretty serious. It's just a joke. If they do, sometimes what recruiters will do is message multiple people or batches of people within the filters that they're looking for. And it's kind of like whoever reaches out first or whoever they connect with, just to kind of learn some more about the company, learn some more about you and the opportunities that they may have available for you. So some advantages when it comes to the LinkedIn profile, again, connect with your network, professionals, colleagues, alumni, experts in your field. Don't let your LinkedIn profile just be just one group. You really want to diversify your connections as much as you can. It's really going to take some time. It's not like Instagram, Facebook, where I know some people solicit friends to kind of build up their profile. So they have a ton of different people on their LinkedIn, on their personal profiles, not LinkedIn. But my advice when it comes to LinkedIn is every connection that you have should be meaningful in some way. I'm usually against just blanket accepting or sending out mass invites to everyone, because what purpose really does that serve? It just shows that you have 500 plus people on your network. So I like to recommend having a much smaller, intimate group of connections, and you should have had some kind of connection or interaction with them in some way, whether it was in person, virtually, whatever that looks like for you. But just my advice on that. If you prefer to have a lot of different contacts connected on LinkedIn, by all means, there's no right or wrong way to it. But I'm just giving you as much tips as I can. Of course, you could also use the job and internship search platform, which is LinkedIn. It's embedded in there, just like how it is on Handshake. Definitely, you can research the companies on there. You could look up their profile. They have a ton of different stuff there. I'll show you guys what that looks like in a minute, and be able to create and keep a digital online portfolio. So that is essentially what I kind of said in the beginning, that the LinkedIn profile is just basically your resume plus one, even more stuff. But you're just not limited by page length like you are with a physical resume. All right, so I have this job and internship search tip here. So more than 80% of students who had full-time jobs before graduation connected face-to-face with employers. So I should have updated this because this is going to be virtually. So face-to-face virtually with an employer. So even before the pandemic, we used to have, for those of you who know, on-campus interviews. We used to have in-person employer info sessions, the conferences, like I mentioned, the career fairs, internship fairs, and then just like pop-up networking events. But no, it's essentially the same thing. Like all these events are still happening, but they're just going to be virtually. All right. So the main thing with this slide is instead of just applying for you could have an amazing LinkedIn profile, top of like a very well established industry standard resume. You're doing everything you need to, but just to kind of frame this a bit, just to kind of give you a bit more perspective, students who have that contact virtually with an employer or face-to-face or some kind of messaging, maybe that could be like a DM back and forth on LinkedIn, have a much higher chance of obtaining at the very least an interview compared to students who don't. So that's the main focus of our workshop today, is basically to kind of build those connections and hopefully have that one-on-one with an employer, whether it's in an interview, an info session, or even messaging back and forth with them about a possible opportunity on LinkedIn. So networking really builds your relationships. Don't also think that your networking only has to be with recruiters. It could be the network that you guys have the most and immediate connection to is your faculty members and professors. Just kind of working that network is really going to help you, establish yourself or, make even more connections down the line. As you can see, it starts with you at the beginning and then it kind of branches off. So it really spirals, which is what you would want. I'm also your network just because I worked in the career services office or the career and talent development office, and we have those connections with employers. So I'm here as a resource to help connect you with, not even recruiters themselves, but events that recruiters might be having, so you can have that one-on-one with them. So of course, on this list, you can see it could be your family, friends, coworkers, classmates, your professionals, like I said, supervisors. If you've had an internship, those connections those colleagues you worked with at that internship should be a part of your network. And then also remember that your other students in the BME orgs, the students at EC, students in your program, all those people are your network, because eventually they're all going to go on to their full-time jobs and they're going to be working at these different companies across the US. And you kind of taking the time right now before you graduate to kind of build those connections right now is really going to be beneficial in the long term, because you really never know what could happen. Jane Doe who was in your program, and she had an internship with ABC, and you had an internship with XYZ. Now she's working at another company, and you really had a connection with her at FIU. She could be that segue into, or that doorway into, an opportunity with that company. So just to kind of get the wheels rolling and help you guys see where I'm going with networking and branding. Like we said, covers the hidden job market. A 75 to 80% obtained via personal contacts. You can learn more about your chosen career field with your network. If you're not sure which area of BME or your major that you want to go in, your faculty, like I said, is a really good resource to kind of hear about what their experiences have been like, because more times than not, your faculty members have had industry experience before eventually teaching in higher ed. Or if they haven't, they've usually had a lot of research experience. And of course, you could always do informational interviews. We're going to talk about this with LinkedIn. If you see that this person on LinkedIn is doing everything that you want to do in terms of job tasks, or if they're working at a company that is your dream company, just being very strategic and reaching out to that person with a personalized DM on LinkedIn, kind of asking if it's okay to kind of meet, to talk about your professional goals, aspirations. I saw you're doing ABC 1, 2, 3. That's really going to be a really good, opportunity. That's just building your network and branding some more. So I'll talk about that more in a minute, but I just said that. So talk to everyone informational interviews. All of you hopefully are part of the biomedical orgs or any other engineering orgs that you have an interest in. You don't have to create business cards right now just because no one's going anywhere for workshops or info sessions, career fairs, conferences. But I know some students who used to do business cards as a way to brand themselves at conferences, because not many people really, students at least, have business cards. So it's just a way someone came up with a strategic way to help themselves stand out from the competition. I'll share how you be a valuable resource. It's not always just a one-way street when it comes to networking. It's usually a two-way street. So what do I have? What do they have? How can I benefit them? How can they benefit me? Might not be something right now as a student where you have a lot to offer them, but eventually when you get to their position, you're going to be in a good way. You're going to be in a position where you're going to be able to offer advice or networking to students like how you were in the very beginning. So grow your connections, stay connected, and that LinkedIn thing. Okay, so I have this link here. This is a way for you guys to see. It's just like a subsection of LinkedIn for higher ed, where you could see your some like checklist, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't. So this is a really good resource. I'll also share this link with you guys, but I just threw this one in here. So this is LinkedIn Learning. I'm not sure how many of you guys have heard of. I think before it was called what was it? Linda, right? Thank you. So LinkedIn bought Linda, and now Linda is LinkedIn Learning. So this is also a way to manage your brand and to really add to your toolkit, because as FIU students, LinkedIn Learning is free. Usually it's a paid thing, and you could take courses on there where you can, develop certain areas or skills. If you feel like, like let's say, for example, I'm not going to use an engineering example. But let's say you're really good with Photoshop and you took some certifications or you took some courses on LinkedIn Learning to kind of develop that skill some more. Once you finish those courses on LinkedIn Learning, you get like a certificate, like a virtual certificate. You could always add that to your LinkedIn profile and also add it to your resume. And it can also be a talking point in an interview. So that's just another way to brand yourself as, let's say, a Photoshop expert or someone who's very proficient in Photoshop. Just kind of use that same concept when it comes to engineering specific things. If you're taking like a MathCAD course or AutoCAD or something related to your field, that's just another idea to kind of boost your profile and to stand out some more. So let me actually switch the presentation to my profile, because I think I updated some of this stuff just to show you what mine looks like. Share screen. LinkedIn. Okay. So let me head to my profile. Obviously, I'm in a different industry than you guys. I'm in education. You guys are in engineering, of course. But some of the concepts are, for the most part, the same. As you can see, I kind of edited my headline, which I suggest everyone does as well. Just because, again, it establishes my brand, and it's just not the default brand that, the default image that everyone else has. So don't put something like, seashells or candles or like a rainforest. because that doesn't really establish your brand. Maybe it does. Maybe it says that you like seashells, you like art, you like nature, but just remember LinkedIn is a professional profile and it's not like Facebook. Well, it is like Facebook, but the agenda or the intention of the profile or the platform is different. So definitely something like this. I designed this in Canva. I'm not sure how many of you guys have used Canva before. You could use Photoshop too, whichever platform you prefer. And of course, I have my professional picture there. Do the same. Don't take a selfie. Have someone take it for you. You don't need a DSLR or a professional camera. If you want, you can, but I don't think it's necessary. We all, for the most part, have modern smartphones. Just have someone take a picture of you in good lighting in a professional attire, and you should be good. All right, so that's the main thing. As you can kind of see on the right-hand side, everyone here has a similar headshot in professional attire. All right. I have an About Me section. Also do the same. I'm not going to get too in-depth with this because everyone's About Me is going to sound different. So definitely, depending on your industry, what you want to do, if you have like a subsection of a certain industry you would like to break into, the About You section is a section to do that. As you can see, my About Me is very short. Some people's are very long. I would just say don't do a full-on paragraph or something where it's like a whole book. Just kind of straight to the point about you professionally and what your intentions are, what you're looking for is going to be ideal. Featured, if you've done any, like, your projects, for example, if you have pictures of your senior design, or you have a link to a GitHub or a separate website that has a whole portfolio of things that you've done, you could add them here and they would be in this featured section. And then kind of going down to experience, as you guys could see, I have this in bullet points, which I would recommend. And then for some of these, I have to update this. It's in paragraph form. So I wouldn't do paragraph form just because they have to read through each thing, opposed to like on a resume where each bullet point is its own thing. So you could essentially, I know this might be a bit controversial, but you can copy paste everything from your resume straight into your LinkedIn. And the reason why is there's only so many ways you can spin the same exact experience. What I will say is, if you decide to copy paste from your resume into your LinkedIn, go the extra mile and add a couple more bullet points, or maybe a couple more positions, just to kind of expand it some more. Just because, like I said, you're not limited to page length when it comes to the LinkedIn profile. As you can see, if it's with the same company or the same position, before I was employee relations assistant, kind of moved up to career advisor. So if it's with the same company, you'll see this timeline. If you've done internships, you'll see it right here where, I interned with Bowling Green in Ohio. You could have that there. I just have to switch this all to bullet points. And then, of course, I have my education, my bachelor's degree, master's degree, certifications, volunteer experience. I don't have bullet points for the volunteer experience, but I would encourage you guys to make sure you do have it. Don't I just have to update my profile. Don't skip out on anything. Just kind of fill in as much as you can, just because COVID, I'm pretty sure you guys saw that the whole theme of LinkedIn changed. It looks much nicer now, just because they know people are using it more, more and more every day because of COVID. So definitely now is the ideal time to be taking advantage of all the new features and everything there. You can see skills and endorsements. So you would put the skills that you feel you have into the skill section, and then people can endorse you for the skill that they think you have. So you can see I have a couple here, 3, 2, 1. It's not that much, but it's all right. But I know some people like to solicit skills. I wouldn't recommend it. Like, let's say I'll endorse you for organizational skills if you endorse me for teamwork. That's kind of like shady, in my opinion. Every endorsement that you have should be genuine in some way. So I wouldn't recommend trading skills. I know people do it, but that's just my professional advice for everyone. I do have my courses here from my master's program. You guys can also include your courses there. Since I'm guessing most of you guys are undergraduate students, so don't put the UCC courses, Calc 1, Physics 1, all those stuff. Put the actual electives for your major, just so an employer can see which courses you've taken. Really important for internships. Just like how you would have a relevant coursework section on your resume if you were looking for an internship, sometimes recruiters will go on LinkedIn and look at the courses you've taken, and if they see you've taken ABC 1, 2, 3, XYZ 5, 6, 7, and those courses are part of the requirements for an internship that they have to recruit for, they could end up reaching out to you to see if you'd be interested in that internship. If you have any honors or awards, any certifications, if you're multilingual, just a good section for this. Then also your interests, which you guys can or should be following. Companies that you want to, like, let's say you have an interest in working for Google, whoever, you should be following them on LinkedIn. It just really checks all the check boxes for you. Because if I'm a recruiter and you apply for a position with Google, and I look at your resume, I look at everything, on your LinkedIn profile, I see you're following the company. And then let's say we have the interview and you're very well informed about what the company does. If they had a big accomplishment recently and you're able to articulate that in an interview, it's really going to be adding more check marks to you than it is to someone else who didn't do any of this stuff. Right? And then you could follow groups. Make sure that you follow groups specific to your industry. As you can see, most of mine are related to education or advising in general. But, sometimes it takes a minute for whoever is in charge of the group to accept you. And you wouldn't want to kind of start doing all this stuff like when you get the call for the interview. Like, this is stuff you should be doing right now ahead of time, as early as you can, because it takes time to kind of build up that profile, to build all those connections, to kind of be as engaged as you can be in the groups and the company pages. So just a couple of tips there. And then also, if you're interested in, let's say, grad school or research, you could follow those schools from the very start. Okay, so scrolling back up, you could, of course, you could click this button to add a profile section. I won't go through this whole thing because there's a ton of different things here, but you could expand all of these to add in even more things that you want. And then, of course, when you go to my network, that's where, don't do, definitely you can see your people who've invited or are part of your network. There's a ton of different things here that you guys could take advantage of. You could even look at I'll show you this in a bit. If you click on the jobs tab, just like LinkedIn, you could look up positions. So let me just do a quick search here. I haven't done this in a while, but biomedical engineer. You could kind of like use all these filters here. Experience level. Let's say we're looking for an internship. There's 24. It's not that many, but it's still something. And you could kind of see a couple of things here. There's some stuff with GE, TriMed, a ton of different internships here. As you guys can see, for example, this one's in New York, and this is for next summer. So just like any other job search platform, they have the job description, what you would be doing, what they're looking for. And just like with anything, they actually have highlights here of people who have worked at FIU or people who have studied at FIU. So if you were trying to kind of, do as many things as you can to hopefully get a callback for an interview, you could click this and you could see the 7 people who are now working full-time at that company who are FIU alum. And if you wanted, or which you should, you could reach out. So I wouldn't just immediately connect with them. I would, of course, let's say, go on their profile. Let me just pick this person, right? You could look at what she's done, her about me section, her past experiences, just kind of look at this in depth. And then if you feel like, you have the urge or the inclination that you would want to reach out just to kind of say, hey, Shay, saw that you're currently working at, this company as a program management or whatever, associate manager. I'm also an FIU alum. Just wanted to find out some more about the opportunity, or if you could give me some, just something like that. That's off the top of my head. But don't send like blanket or blank connections, because when you get those invites, like, who is this? There's no message, there's nothing. So always give your messages some kind of intention or context. That was a job. And yeah, so that's what this looks like. And then if I just move over to the salary one, I love this one just because it's just another way for you guys to really get the most money out the door, especially for the full-time jobs, not for the internships, but more so for biomedical. So to give you guys an example, if you get, like, say you get 3 callbacks for, job offers for biomedical, of course, you would want to use all 3 to like negotiate the salary, the benefits. And this is a resource to help you know what that position normally pays in that state, that city, that area, whatever. So let's say, just for example, biomedical engineer, and let's just do New York. If you hit search, you could see the median, on salary, the range. You could see the companies. You could search by company. You could look at, just some more insights by region. So just another platform. I'm sure you guys know about Glassdoor. That's also super popular, but just use everything. But this is just what the LinkedIn one looks like. They also have an interview prep section here, just like common questions. That's a lot of different things. Why should we hire you? Obviously, I'm here as a resource, or career services department is here as a resource, but LinkedIn also has this baked in. This is going to take forever if I kind of go through all of these, but just to kind of show you what that looks like. You saw that button there where it says reactivate premium for free. You guys don't need to pay for the LinkedIn premium version just because it kind of is expensive. I just did the trial and then I canceled it. Just remember, if you want to try it, cancel it before it renews because it's going to charge you. But for most of you, the basic profile, even for me, I don't need the premium version. Most recruiters do use a premium version just because their company would pay for it. And they also have like a resume builder thing. I haven't used this too much. If anything, I'll give you guys some resources on what that looks like. But I always like recommending not to use templates. Just start your resume from scratch. And I've done, I think I have a workshop coming up with you guys for resume. I may have to double check. But, if anything, you could always book an appointment with me so I could give you some more insight into the resumes for engineering. Of course, there's the messaging. I won't go into this just because this is kind of private, but that's where you kind of get through all the messages from recruiters. And of course, notifications are all there, just like Facebook, whatever. But for the most part, that's what the LinkedIn profile looks like. Let me get back to the PowerPoint because I have a couple of things there. Yeah, so I'll skip this, like picture, of course, the URL, make sure the profile is public and everything. I'll skip all this stuff. This is from before they updated everything. Oh, or I didn't show you guys the groups, but when you go into the groups, just like it is on Facebook, I'm not sure if you guys are part of Facebook groups, you really want to engage with the content that other people post. So if you yourself want to post, different topics related to engineering, or if you want to comment on other people's posts, just try and be consistent with it because you wouldn't want to kind of come out the woodwork randomly and you're only engaging just because you have an interview coming up or some kind of benefit to you alone. So I would say go in once a week, once every 2 weeks at the very most, and just try to have some kind of activity with your engineering groups. That was the licenses, that was the connections. Oh, let me actually show you guys the LinkedIn alumni tool, which is super good. I kind of touched on that a minute ago, but let me show you guys again. This is LinkedIn. Yeah, you just, no, it's not that one. It's PDF. All right, so I don't see it, but it's all right. Basically how that works is you go on the page, FIU's page, and you can see which students who are now alumni of FIU are where they're living, the city, where they're currently working. And of course, you would kind of be taking that you'd be being very strategic and maybe reaching out to alumni who are in your field, who are working at the companies that you want to work at, seeing what they're doing. And a good cheat, or a good way I like to I don't really consider it cheating. I've done it where you go on these people who are very successful in your opinion, in your field, and you go on their profile. Fingers crossed they have a very well-developed profile. And I just see how they word their experiences, what they've done, what they're involved in, which groups they're in. And I try to kind of do the same thing on my profile. So you're just kind of taking tips from people who are successful, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's what you should be doing. And then, of course, I did go through the LinkedIn salary insights. That's what this slide was for. So when you are going to be updating your LinkedIn profile, or you are going to be creating your profile for the first time, it's always good to think of it in terms of, like I said in the beginning, the SMART method: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, just so that you have a real intention for your LinkedIn profile. Is it that you are creating a LinkedIn profile just, hopefully in the efforts of, finding an internship, or is it that you're approaching graduation and you want your profile to be fully filled out for recruiters to look at? Just kind of put a plan in place to make sure that you have that profile, really good to go. Because you probably can't do everything in one day, which is why we have this SMART tool. So, let's say for today, we're going to just do the picture, the headline, the about me, And then maybe in a week, I'm going to really put my effort into filling up the job description, not the job description, but my experience section, my volunteer work, internships, full-time jobs. Maybe in a month after, I'm going to really start looking into the groups. So that's always going to be specific to each of you, but just have a plan in place so you don't start making the profile and then it just ends up by the wayside and you never got back to it. So here's what that looks like, which I was trying to explain there. Oops, there we go. So if you did it like on February 28th, create the profile, the 1st of March, you took the headshot, just a couple ways to kind of keep yourself on track and just to kind of keep yourself accountable to having that 100% complete profile. So some ending points for today is, fully fill out profile. Make sure that you word your bullet points and your experiences in a way that you want to be known for, kind of harping back to the branding section, whether it's that you are an exceptional team player, problem solver, whatever you want to be known for, that's the message that should be associated with your profile. So as a recruiter, if I read through everything, I see the groups you're connected with, what you've been doing, etc., it should almost be immediate, like this person really, has excellent communication skills, or they're a leader, or, whatever skill or attribute that may be. Make sure you follow those groups. Once you have your profile up to 100%, you might feel like, okay, great, this is done. And then your profile is just stagnant and never changes. Always remember, just like how you would with your resume, don't wait till you're looking for that next opportunity to update your LinkedIn profile or to update your resume. Because what happens is you could have worked on this project or you had this experience and it really helps you shine. But because you didn't take the time to write that stuff down so you remember, in the future, you're not going to remember what you did, and you're not going to be as effective in wording that experience compared to if it was in the recent past, like you just did it. Keep tabs on your connections. So reach out. It doesn't always have to be like the intention is I'm only reaching out to you to connect, or I'm only reaching out to you for something specific. It could be, hope you're doing well. I saw that you just posted to your profile that you are now an intern at ABC company, wishing you the best in that internship. Those small things go a very long way, and you never know. It could even be something where, because you reached out to that person just with a well wish or whatever, they referred you without you even knowing for an opportunity within that company or for an internship or something. So just remember that tip. Just some basic stuff here at the end. Everything that we offer. We have about 10 minutes before I have to jump off, maybe 5. But can I answer any questions when it comes to branding, networking, or LinkedIn? LinkedIn groups, LinkedIn profile, connections, job search on LinkedIn, internship search, anything like that.
Well, I enjoyed that you can actually include the certificates from LinkedIn Learning courses you might take. It's good social proof that you might rephrase or reinforce something that you might know, but it will just give the other person on the other end the social proof, like, oh, this guy does know more than anyone would by themselves on just their resume.
Yep. Yeah, it's not like with the LinkedIn certifications, they're not like, like official stuff that you would do, like, let's say a paid certificate or a course, but it's something. It's never going to be an employer looks at you have, oh, he has a LinkedIn certificate. That's bad. They're never going to say that. It's just maybe a talking point where you could talk about how you've done the certification on LinkedIn and how you've used that knowledge to benefit you or benefit the company or, help make something better. So let's say you did a certificate on LinkedIn and it immediately helped you, make your senior design more efficient or something. So something like that is always even a good talking point in an interview or interaction with a recruiter. Awesome. Okay. So that's just our drop-in hours. I don't think that's up to date. You could find all of our virtual hours on Handshake. Everything on there is up to date. Let me just check the chat real quick. You're welcome. Yeah, of course. Anytime. Do you recommend reaching out over LinkedIn versus just applying through websites? James, yes. So you should do both. If you see a position on a website that you are interested in, whether it's an internship or a full-time job, apply, of course. And then you can reach out on LinkedIn to the recruiter, if it's the same person, to say, hey, just a very personalized message to let them know that you saw that this internship was posted doing ABC 123. nothing too long. You're just keeping it very brief, and you're just letting them know that you're very interested and that you have applied for the job or the internship. Straight to the point. It's not supposed to be a whole back and forth or a whole paragraph there. Thank you, Natalie. I didn't know that. I only knew that SHEP had positions, of course, posted on their website, but they have positions only posted on LinkedIn. 100% yes. Make sure you guys make a beeline for those, because you would want to apply for everything before the conference, because when you get to the conference, all the interview slots are gone. So you really want to apply before. That's what you should be doing. Cool. Okay. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there if anyone has any other questions, just so I could, get ready for my next workshop.
Sounds great. Thank you, Joseph, and thank you, Laura, for stopping by and helping us with this workshop. We appreciate your time. And for everyone who attended, we hope you learned something and can apply this to your LinkedIn profile as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. If you guys want to start your profile and if you want to book me for an appointment for me to take a look at your profile together, definitely do that. And I'll also send, I'll have this PowerPoint sent to everyone so you can have all the tips.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Stay safe, everyone.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Bye.